on issues affecting our society with the aim of bringing change.
Topics and realities.
Every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.
on Royal FM.
Topics and realities.
A weekly program brought to you by the English desk of Royal FM.
Royal FM.
Topics and realities.
Topics and realities.
Topics and realities.
The gateway to change.
The crisis that Cameroon has been experiencing in recent years in the English parts, which has been at its worst since 2018, has proven an intense vision of some essential mechanism of international community and thus a better understanding of its in-depth nature. From 2018, the Anglophone crisis drew increasing international attention, reason why the Norwegian Refugee Council, an independent humanitarian organization helping people who are forced to flee crisis, this week published that the Anglophone crisis is the third most neglected crisis in the world. Good afternoon, blessed people. Welcome to Topics and Realities, your Saturday afternoon talk show in which we capture a topic, we treat that topic and make it a reality in our life. Today, we want to put flesh to the Norwegian Refugee Council report, in which it states that the crisis in the northwest and southwest region is the third most neglected crisis. The question is why? Who is behind the non-recognition of this crisis? How has the Anglophone crisis been neglected? What role has the foreign powers, be it directly or indirectly, play in this crisis? What can be done for this crisis to be recognized and seek lasting solution? These questions and more will be seeking answer in this program. As Tissa Macky Sall, President of Senegal, President of the African Union, visits Russia to beg for the release of grain and fertilizer. Question: has Africa become a Languedoc who cannot depend on its own? The team this afternoon is made up of Irishke Maurice, our sound engineer. He is our copyright clerk. He is our video editor on our Facebook page, Royal FM Cameroon. Topics and Realities, a production of Royal 88.4 FM English service under the coordination of our own station manager, Carol Pudan. General supervision is ensured by Bisa Emmanuel Noy. For presentation and moderating this afternoon, my name is Abel Bela Samari. I am the son of Danki, but it is good we establish that whatever thing we are discussing here is to help build this nation. It is purely apolitical, but it serves the purpose of information and education. We are not here to fuel any cause, be it intentionally or non-intentionally. I will be right back.
Church boy, Samsung, it's another one. I
Thank you so very much, Irish Kumri, for that piece of music composed by Samson, and it is turning me around. God is turning us around, and it's working for our good. We take our mutual assistance and solidarity maso, and we are going to talk about the July 9, 2022 event that will take place at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex. We prepare this report from you as we visited one of the Renapro Finance Agency here in the capital city of Yaoundé, precisely the Mesasi Agency. Let us find out what happened. A very busy Renapro Finance Agency at Mesasi with notice upon arrival, with the customer service educating the mutualists on which tickets to raffle for during the July 9 draw as it gets nearer.
Vous pouvez jouer dans les financements. Les financements vont de 100 000 à 1 million. Il y a le montant de 100 000, il y a 250 000, il y a 500 000, il y a 750 000, il y a 1 million. Pour les PME, c'est 15 millions.
Je joue sur l'équipement maison.
From her explanation, we noticed that the finances range from 100,000 francs passing through 250,000 francs, 500,000 francs to 1 million francs CFA. Officials of the agency affirmed that most of the mutualists at the Mesasi Agency are going in for credit without interest to boost their capital.
My name is Wukwen Kamgen Jessica, as it has to do with the mutual assistance and solidarity in Mesasi. Customers are coming, they are really playing. In fact, they are answering positive to the product, who are responding positively more with finance. Because up till now, we are already finished with a packet of tickets of 1 million. So we had to order another one, yet people are still going on playing.
To this mutualist is the house, given the housing situation in Yaoundé.
I'm here today for the ticket issue, so I believe that by the end of the day I will have my tickets. Actually, I was not ready for the money, but for now, with my house, for see whether I can be one of the people.
Have you completed your 26,000 francs contribution?
Completed.
Talking about the completion of the 26,000 francs CFA annual due, officers agree that they are still completion.
Still is to finish with their contributions. We still have to convince them again more for them to finish with their contributions concerning our mutual assistance and solidarity. I'm telling all our customers is that they should come and play. Let them come and finish their contribution. Let them be the testimonies of tomorrow out there, the people that know it is really true what Renapro is doing about their mutual assistance and solidarity.
Strategies have been put in place to help mutualists meet up with their contribution.
My name is Yamje Miriam Noah. Call those mutualists to finish the call them to come and call them, make them all the time. It's not easy because I convince them so that they will contribution.
Be it or officials, Renapro Finance Agency at Mesasi, the message is
the maso is very important. If you finish your maso, your dream will be realized.
What I ask all our customers is that they should come and finish their contribution.
The only advice that I can give to people is that lucky is something that you don't write on the wall, neither somebody should come and tell you. So don't feel reluctant because you don't know tomorrow.
And just to remind all mutualists that the last day for the payment of the annual dues is billed for the June the 29th at 4 p.m. at the different agency of Renapro Finance Agency. We are talking about Act 2 of the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity Maso. That event will take place at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex on July the 9th, 2022. We have a lot of gift and prizes to be won on that day. Mutualists who are already completed their 26,000 francs CFA will be given a ticket that they are going to put to 15 different boxes, and the 15 different boxes have different slots for what you want. We have for houses, we have 100 million francs CFA for those who are engaged into petty business. We have 15 million francs CFA for those who want to who are involved in small and medium-sized enterprises, agricultural industries. We equally have 75 taxis. We have 5 yard bus. We have the pygmy cars that are also available, 80 motorbikes. We have 20 tricycles that have been put at the disposal of mutualists when it comes to the event that will take place on July the 9th, 2022. Like you got it there from that report. Euphoria already going on around the different agencies of Renapo Finance Agency, SA in Yaoundé. We have 12 offshore agencies in Yaoundé, 26 around the country.
Vive la Masso!
Grandiose event this Saturday, 9th of July 2022 as from 2 p.m. at the Yaoundé Multi-Sports Complex. Renapro Finance SA Act 2. Raffle draw ceremony designated for mutualists of the Masso. 80 motorbikes, 20 tricycles, 75 taxis for urban transport, 50 minibuses for peri-urban transport, 10 picnics for peri-urban transport, 3 villas with gates, 50 sets of chairs, 100 gas cookers, 100 refrigerators, 100 televisions, and that's not all. 115 million francs CFA to finance your project, 100 million for petty businesses, and 15 millions for small and medium-sized enterprises.
I am very happy. I have full of joy.
Come and live moments of joy and solidarity celebrated by guest artists Prince de Jesus, Remy Star, Saint Bruno, Alvaro Jess, Cabral Nanjib, Augusta la Dame de Cœur, Govina, Ayijo Mamadou, Isnebo, Jackie Bio, Prince Afuako, Simon Longue Longue, and many more. Act 2 of the Masso this Saturday, 9th of July as from 2 p.m. at the Yaoundé Multi-Sports Complex. Nota bene, to take part at the raffle draw and the show, simply present your identification paper. Absentees and latecomers will miss out a lot. At Masso, we simply live in our African value.
And if you are just joining us, the program is Topics and Realities coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM. We already have some of our girls who are already here with us this evening. Let me begin with our politician of the day. He is called Chi Dieudonné. He's from the Social Democratic Front, the SDF party. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Abel. Good afternoon to my dear brothers with whom I'm sharing this panel today. Good afternoon to our listeners. A special good afternoon to the great family of the Social Democratic Front. And I want to use this opportunity to appreciate you for this program because it's an opportunity for young people to air out their opinions and kind of demonstrate that somehow they can do something. I think it's the beginning of a great initiative. You know, it all began by a word. The whole world began by a word, and when you have young people talking and discussing issues about their country on a platform like this, it's something to encourage.
Yeah, you just talk about the SDF party, and I'm tempted to ask you this question because we just celebrated 32 years of the existence of the SDF party, and when you read newspaper headlines this week, SDF begging to join government, SDF crying over spill milk, SDF regretting of not joining the government in the 90s, SDF is the no-go party, SDF collapsed, in-house fighting disrupt the development and celebration of the SDF party. Can we say the SDF is still standing today?
Well, you have even limited yourself. Some even though unofficially said that the SDF is dead, but Surprisingly,
They're still living.
They spend time talking about the SDF, and they claim that the SDF is dead. So, we know conspiracy theorists are out there to, try to destroy the party, but they have not succeeded. It's been quite a long time that enterprise had gone operational. Till today, they have failed, and they have failed woefully. And just like every other human association.
But is the SDF begging to enter the government?
No, that is not. That is not the reality. Those that say that actually, like I said, they belong to the team of conspiracy theorists that want to destroy the party. The SDF has its logic, and when the time comes, we always inform Cameroonians why we take the steps that we take.
But if it's not like something like never. But one day the SDF can decide to join the government. The doors are not closed. It's not like never shall we join the government, since it is something that people can inform the public. It means that the day they want to join the government, the Cameroonians will know.
It is an option.
Okay.
It is an option, and whenever that is the case, Cameroonians will now know why we take that move, if at all. Why we took that move, if at all we take it. So, but for now, saying that we are begging to join government, kind of giving the picture of people that are so frustrated. We are not at that stage, and it didn't start today. It's something that it has been so for quite a long time.
For the past 33 years.
Yes, trying to destroy the party. Like I told you, there are many who even declared us dead, and unfortunately, they spend time today debating about the SDF, and I can guarantee them, and many that are listening, that the SDF will be bouncing back very powerfully. And my wish for them is that they be alive to testify. Thank you.
Indeed, the SDF should be alive to testify. We have Franklin Wanchi, who is also here with us this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Franklin.
Good afternoon, Abel. Good afternoon, my brothers on the panel. Good afternoon to all the listeners of Royal FM and lovers of topics and realities. It's been a while. I've not been on this particular program, but at least we thank God I'm back today.
Thank you for being with us. With you, we are going to talk about a lot of issues, but it seems as if all is not calm in the Southland. People can move about freely.
I don't want to laugh, neither do I want to cry. Nothing is calm. The fact that that we don't hear it being pronounced, people are dying every day. Even if they are not more dying of gunshots, it's barely 2 weeks that we lost a little girl. 2 of our friends were wounded because they were going to school to go and learn. They were killed on the way. It's barely 2 weeks. And people are living in fear. People don't live freely in Solent. There is too much fear. And I come to ask
in your own backyard, we saw a teacher who happens to be shot, I think, because he marched on the 20th of May.
Those are what people are saying. We don't know exactly why that happened to him. But I heard some other backward information that he had to be strangled because when they started shooting, that the boys started shooting at him, no bullet was penetrating. Which of course means that maybe it is not because he marched on 20th May. Nobody has come out to explain why he's dead. They just made his body. People concluded that since he was a staunch CBDM militant and that he marched on 20th May, that maybe that's the reason. No. If that was the only reason, why could he be going in as much as going in for protection and others?
Thank you very much. We have Nelson Lambris. Nelson Lambris, good afternoon to you. It's a pleasure for us to have you this afternoon. But there's a question I prepared for you. Good afternoon, by the way.
Good afternoon, Ebebe Samari. Good afternoon to the listeners of Royal FM. Good afternoon to Chijo Dine and Franklin.
Everything is
technician. Moving. Thank you, my brother.
No. We are just striving and struggling to exist. In Cameroon, we don't live. We just exist by the mercy of God. Because what actually makes a human being to be a human being in Cameroon, it is a miracle in our country. It's difficult for you to get up in the morning and you open your tap and clean water void of smell, taste, and color. Water is life. If you cannot have water, any other thing is just I don't know. But we are still struggling, and I think this is one of the basic necessity that we need. But since the priority of the people is to build a monument for billions of francs every, and then preach
But they say
love.
that it's going to help the development of the city, looking at the amount of money that they are going to make from it for those who want to take snapshots.
Preach love and stuff. And we are still praying, begging for the day that we'll start living life in this country.
Yeah, I had a question for you, by the way. Last time you said the role of every state council in a community is to watch, read the newspaper, look at what is not moving well within the society, maybe ask the judicial police to open independent to topical issue. But this week we have seen a lot of media reporting on a certain 7 billion francs CFA scandal bribed that was given to the company in charge of petroleum in this country by a certain company equally. And we saw a renowned politician write to the CONAC body, that is the anti-corruption body, for them to open investigation into this matter. We don't know how far they have gone, but when we look at the role of the state council, those are the type of things that you need to intervene immediately and ask for a better understanding.
My first part of today, I started by telling you that we are just existing in Cameroon and we need to pray the day that we start living a life. CONAC is not part of the judicial system. If somebody who belongs to the legislation is asking CONAC to open an investigation.
No, he's a renowned politician.
Now, yes, he's asking CONAC to open an investigation of alleged corruption of public, or maybe embezzlement of public funds. CONAC will do the investigation and give a report to somebody, and until that person decides whether to get into it, and that will happen. But again, like you were talking about the state council, I said in the judicial system, the state councils are very powerful. What they call in French, procureur general and procureur de l'État.
Can you order for
they don't need to listen to anybody. The state council is the boss of all the police and the gendarmes, and the state council
can you open investigation into
that anytime the state council wishes to open an investigation, he's going to give orders to the judicial police to do that. But since in Cameroon we are in, I don't know the type of.
Are you trying to say that we have a problem with our judicial system?
The judiciary in Cameroon is guaranteed by the chief executive officer, so they take orders from him to do whatever thing he wants, and then they will do that. But like I said, classically, the state councils, they have a whole lot of power in that jurisdiction. If something is not moving on well, they have that power to stop and ask you, where do you get this money from? They have that power given to them. But since in the functionality of the judiciary in Cameroon depends in the hands of one individual who does not belong to the judicial system, but in the executive arm of government.
Maybe you people will try to regulate some of those issues when you people have your bar council, which is coming up in the days ahead. Yes, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I just want to add that in principle, the judiciary does not auto-seize itself of a matter. Okay. The judiciary must be seized.
Okay.
Yeah, but we are for that dispensation where judicial authorities, like the state council, as my brother is saying, can seize themselves automatically of some matters that are of public interest.
Yeah.
But we are not there. Our system now is that the judiciary must be seized.
Okay.
They cannot seize themselves.
Okay.
Yes. So that is just...
No, I disagree. Anytime you commit a crime which is a crime against the state, if I kill somebody on the road, the family of that people will not come and go and report. I will be taken directly to the judicial system and I will be judged, because that crime, any crime you commit a crime against the state. Listen, if you commit a crime, the crime is known as a crime against the state, and the state is responsible to take that act. We saw the person who went viral with a video insulting the head of state. The head of state did not sue that guy. He did not complain. But the state council in that jurisdiction asked the man to bring explanation, and the guy was sent to jail. But he was not sued.
That is a criminal offense, flagrant delicto.
Okay. I'm saying if you do something against the state, the judiciary takes it automatically. But don't tell people that the judiciary does not. No, I've just given you a jurisprudence.
See, sir,
I've given you a jurisprudence.
Sir, the thing is this:
can we understand ourselves? That is not a debate.
What my brother mentioned was a criminal offense, flagrant delicto, something you see happening.
But this one of the bribing issues is not a criminal offense.
We are talking about something that you are expecting, it is an allegation that has been raised.
Okay.
You want the judiciary to go and carry on an investigation to order to ascertain and all that. There is a procedure. The judiciary must be seized.
Okay.
In that case,
somebody must start.
Yes.
Okay.
They must seize them.
We have heard you. Good afternoon to you, my brother. I'm watching you from the Mbam and Kim. That is coming from Jeremy. Thank you very much. We are going to welcome Mapala Zita, who is going to give us a press review. A press review is a summary of all that have been making news in Cameroon this afternoon. Good afternoon to you, Mapala Zita.
Good afternoon, Abel. Hello to all the listeners of Topics and Realities. Our newspapers, like the Herald on Monday, began the week by informing us that the Mancon people of the Northwest region have officially begun mourning their missing fund. Then there was this outrage in Jakiri, Northwest region, as the Jakiri CPDM member was found dead a week after the 20th May march past. Papers like The Horizon on its page 5 talk about that story. On Wednesday, the good news of the release of Senator Regina Mundi made headlines on almost every paper. The National Day bannered Senator Regina Mundi, happy end, while the Guardian Post headlined Military Storms Amber Camp, rescues Senator Regina Mundi and several others, kill over 12 Amber fighters. And then page 6 of the Post Weekender Thursday edition carries the details of how information about the senator's whereabouts was leaked. Another story which caught the attention of our publishers was the increase in the price of Hajj 2022, which was not welcomed by Muslim faithfuls, according to M4 Asho Tuesday edition. There was, however, good news by Thursday, as Cameroon Tribune headlined Pèlerinage à la Mecque, le beau geste du président, highlighting that the cost of the pilgrimage has dropped thanks to the 1 billion francs disbursement by government ordered by the head of state, President Paul Biya. Apart from Hajj 2022 news, the Minat boss Paul Atanganji was also on the spotlight as he presided a ceremony for the return of some 300 Central African refugees to their country. The Sun newspaper on Wednesday also said that gunmen have killed some 24 people, including a traditional ruler in Akwaya, southwest region of the country. This as the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions have been rated among the world's most neglected conflicts and witnessing the world's worst rights violation, according to an international conflicts expert. The Guardian Post has that story. Boko Haram is also reported to be causing havoc in the northern regions, and according to Late Sahel Wednesday edition, 7 people were killed in Itawa by the terrorist group. And still in the far north, a woman and her daughter have been arrested for the death of a newborn baby. Get the full story in the Guardian Post Wednesday edition. Then, a Cameroonian student in Canada drowned in an attempt to rescue his friend. Details of that story is in the Guardian Post Friday edition. And still on Friday, Emergence newspaper sounded a health alert from the World Health Organization of fears of a possible outbreak of monkeypox in Cameroon. Before I take leave of you, Abel, the Indomitable Lions are in camp for not only their game against Burundi for the qualifiers of the AFCON 2023, but to also prepare for Qatar World Cup. The papers say Coach Rigobert Song has called up 25 players for that exercise, and they will be having an encounter against local players this Saturday, June the 4th, at the Douala Japoma Stadium. And still in Douala, this year's edition of the Cameroon International Cycling Tour kickstarts this Saturday, with the papers telling us that some 15 teams from within and without Cameroon are taking part. Well, Abel, that was all I got from our papers. Happy month of June to you and yours.
Thank you very much, our own Mapala Zita, for that press review. Nelson Lambris, one issue that caught your attention this week. I begin with you.
There were so many issues that actually happened that the press had to relay. The first thing is the release of
Regina Mundi,
Senator Madame Mundi, from captivity, and we saw a whole lot of communication.
And also a lot of contradiction
around that. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of the contradiction. I want to base what the press said, given the information to them by the communication officer of the Cameroon military.
Yeah.
We are glad that she was
released.
She was saved from the hands of I don't know, the kidnappers, and she's strong. But I want to also pray that any other Cameroonian who enjoys the rights as a Cameroonian, when they find themselves in this type of situation, this same attention that was given to Senator Madam Mundi should be given to them. They should not make us feel like they are more Cameroonians. I'm not talking about the military. It's not the military that decides. Other came from
even
above.
The governor of the North
Other came from above. We know people that were being kidnapped up to now. We don't know the whereabouts. We don't know where.
Maybe the government is still searching.
We know the delegates
to have that location.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That is why they are asking the population to collaborate.
That's what I'm saying. I'm praying so that this type of action should be this type of action and consent and attention to be given to all Cameroonians without any bias, without any social rank and stuff. All Cameroonians have equal rights to be protected and the right for security.
Yes, sir. Chi Jodene, you follow the press review. What caught your attention that you think that we can share together?
Well, the whole issue of corruption, I don't want to come back too much to what my brother just mentioned because we've talked about it for quite a long time. I think that the relevant lessons have been learned, and the most important issue is where do we go from here? Because, like the senator noted, the war is serious. And she also noted that Cameroonians are treated equally. And I want to congratulate her for saying that, and to tell Cameroonians that it is true that Cameroonians are treated equally, because Cameroon has been divided into two major tribes. You have less than 1% of very, very rich people, and then you have 99.something% of very, very poor people. And these very rich people come from all the tribes and all the regions of Cameroon.
These are the two tribes.
And the very, very poor people come from all the regions of Cameroon.
Yeah.
So we are treated fairly on that basis. It is the same reason why the senator of the Social Democratic Front, Senator Boussoulé of Menchum, when he took the floor at the Senate, he mentioned a project that was the case of the Menchum Fall. That when he grew up, we were telling them that Menchum can generate electricity for the whole of West Africa, but he has seen artificial dams being created all over in Cameroon. But if we had developed Menchum to its full potential, and that all Cameroonians were now having electricity free of charge, and that we were selling electricity to other countries,
the whole of West Africa,
which would have permitted us to carry out our industrialization. I think that those are projects that would have benefited all Cameroonian masses, so-called Francophones and Anglophones. But because the strategy is such that things that will have impact, real impact on the life of the common man, should not be touched, they had to avoid that. So Senator Ma Regina Mundi, she was right to note, and just like the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front noted, that when people were crying and he noticed that there were no roads in northwest and southwest, there were lack of so many things. He crossed the other side of the Mungo and he noticed that even in Yaoundé up to now where we are talking, people are crying because of roads.
So you are saying it's a governance system?
No, it is a general problem, and the real problem is Cameroonians should not let themselves be distracted on so-called Anglophone and so-called Francophone lines or tribal lines. The real issue is a divide between a minority, less than 1%, which is very rich, and
the
a majority which is very poor. And you see the way the inflation we are facing today, I call it the inflation of the poor man, because this majority of this minority people, they can buy things no matter how expensive they are, because even before inflation they were drinking them but wine for 100 something thousand. So now they can buy anything they want. That is the reason why just here you have your grandma that you have here. When they will build the grandma, they will have to import flour. They import yeast. We don't produce flour, we don't produce the yeast, but we are bidding grandma to import flour, import yeast, because this minority, these people who constitute the minority, who have taken our resources hostage, have the money to go and buy these things. But you and I don't have them, and that is the reality of Cameroon all over. And all Cameroonians, irrespective of their so-called Anglophone or so-called Francophone or whatever tribe they come from, the majority of them are suffering from it. And finally, to note that the Vice President of the Social Democratic Front, Honorable Joshua Osi, in a very powerful outing, he called for the putting in place for the Commission of Parliamentary Inquiry to look into this Glencore issue. We were not talking about CONAC, like my brother was noting. We know the way CONAC functions. CONAC, to the best of my knowledge, if I would give it a political interpretation, is a witch hunting organization where they just keep your documents. The day you are not more in line with the CPDM or the interest of President Paul Biya as far as power is concerned, they remove it against you. It's not about corruption. It's not fight. No. It's not fight against corruption. And I can buttress this. You cannot avoid applying the Constitution with respect to corruption, and you go and create other organs and claim that you are fighting corruption. Section 66 is very clear. I need to know, we need to know, Cameroonians deserve to know what the President of the Republic has. When we talk about fight against corruption, this fight against corruption should not exempt even the President of the Republic in any way. Who has declared President Paul Biya a saint? Mr. Abel. Oh, you have declared him a saint. You, the journalist, you have done all your investigation and you declare that the only person that cannot be corrupted in this country is President Paul Biya. So I think that on that note, we want to say that we are asking for that Commission of Parliamentary Inquiry and the upcoming June session that is about to begin next week. We do hope that the President of the Republic will be taking advantage of the grace of God upon his life and start meaningful action that will bring an end to this so-called Anglophone crime.
Thank you very much, Chijedene. Frankly, Wanchi, what caught your attention?
My Muslim brothers who had to go on a pilgrimage. The minister proposed giving them some money, and they said the money was too small. And the head of state came in the name of the Cameroonian people, took our hard-earned taxpayers' money and gave them to go for pilgrimage. First thing first.
What do you mean? What do you expect?
I'm coming.
Cameroon is a secular state.
Yes, I am coming. I am not against the fact that the president should not support it. I want to look at it from this very point of view. Please permit me. As a Muslim, you know that one of the pillars of Islam is to at least go to Mecca for once in a year.
Says that we have two tribes. The extremely poor and the extremely rich.
No, that was him.
And that is why they are coming to help those who are poor to
don't
realize
remove words
that
from my mouth. I want Muslims to know that as a Muslim, prepare your money for your Hajj. Don't wait for don't come and create.
And if you go by his statement of those who are poor, that means some people will never go to Mecca.
But
I strongly believe that the head of state wants to give an equal opportunity to
it is opportunity for the head of state to corrupt us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
A properly governed Cameroon will permit more and more people to go to Mecca, even with their own money.
Good afternoon.
But they have kept a majority poor.
Good afternoon to you.
The majority going back to the man who kept them poor.
Thank you, Chijedene. Good afternoon to you, Mr. G. Raymond Fuller. You have the CPDM party. You join us in this program. We greeted everybody and you are just coming in.
Thank you very much. I am a representative.
Representing the CPDM party.
The CPDM, the ruling
CPDM party,
political party.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad once again to be here to share our point of view. To the listener, your viewers, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the main, or even the main radio station in this country, in this region. For us, it's a pleasure and even an obligation to come here and to give the point of view of the CPGM. So, Abel, I'm over glad to be here once again.
Thank you very much.
As I used to. And every time you need the point of view of the CPGM, we will be here.
The CPGM have never failed us in this
we
program.
look like our national president, who is also the head of state of the country.
Yeah.
We are very faithful in act, faithful in our word.
Yeah.
So we are man of action.
So thank you very much.
Very proud once again.
Is there anything that caught your attention this week, Mr. Fuller?
I will also take the occasion to greet the militant, the sympathizer of my party, the CPGM, while congratulating the RIQ of your radio, Emmanuel Noel Bisay, and your general manager, for the wonderful job they are doing.
Thank you very much. Not forgetting the others, Jean-Pascal Tala.
I will talk about the founder and the general manager of your radio, Carole Prudence, who is doing a wonderful job out there. Now,
thank you very much.
Talk about your press review. 2 or 3 items. First of all, the rescue of Regina Mundi.
Yes.
Elizabeth. We heard a lot. They said no, they were released. He was released by outside takers. It's a sign of philanthropy. They overlike women there according of the age. Even heard a lot. The worst Abel.
Yes.
I was in all the show. They said that. Please, a listener calling you live from the United States of America. He said that she was arrested. She was arrested, and then there was a debate there between 2 camps. The first was looking for her killings, to kill her, because according to them,
and the other was looking for money.
Please,
okay.
She collaborated, with the regime, and the other camp was saying that thanks to the age and how can I say her health situation, you have to release her.
Yeah.
Abel, you know.
So give us the real version.
No, you know, all of us know the real version.
Okay.
It was a rescue operation done by the head of state.
Okay.
Who is the commander in chief of this army? Who give them the order to go there and rescue not only her.
The others.
They are.
Okay.
How can other people?
And the next thing that caught your attention, because we have opportunity to talk about this issue when we talk.
Thank you very much. And now the age.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm translating.
The pilgrimage to Mecca. Let us put it.
One of the pillar of the Muslim religion. We know, Abel.
Yes, I'm getting you.
You know, we cannot joke with religion in our country.
That's very pertinent.
The Muslim, the follower of the Muslim religion is 1/3 of the inhabitants of this country. 1/3 of.
Yeah. Meaning that the others are
1/3 of.
Yeah.
We cannot joke with
1/3 of the population.
Now, the head of state, who was very conscious of the Jewisity.
Yeah, the secular state of the country had to come in.
No, talking about the external information coming from Saudi Arabia,
making the Hajj to be a bit expensive. That's what we're trying to
first of all, and then a kind of disorder within.
Okay.
Concerning the Hajj, you know, compared to other religions.
Yes. Just give us the point, because we are
Catholic,
almost against time. Go ahead, run up.
Catholic religions, Protestant religion, and Muslim. Others, they have the freedom of organize by themselves.
Yeah.
They are pilgrim. They are pilgrim.
Yeah.
Going to
some go to
Italian and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But they cannot understand why.
There
is so many problems concerning the pilgrim of the Muslim. First of all, then
we got you.
Compared to other countries, who have the same level, the same powerful.
So the action of the head of state is timely. and very reasonable.
Where I'm heading for is now to overturn the head of state.
Okay.
To have it took the good decision to calm down.
Yeah, the situation.
How can you understand that? How can you say that you are in a neighboring country?
Yeah.
You have the same problem, but in Cameroon, for instance, this is an example.
Yeah.
You have to pay 100, but at the time you cross just few meters, you cross the border, there you have the 50. So less than.
Okay.
Less than. So
they have to harmonize it.
Down to the head of state. This brings us for a kind of harmonization.
Yeah. And a diplomatic victory also.
To bring down, how can I say, the anger of our brothers who are very faithful to the regime, very faithful to the institution, very faithful to the institution. You know, you cannot burn the country.
That's true.
The whole of the head of state is to take care of all the regions.
That's true. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. G. Raymond Fuller. Agbo Masha.
We beg you for the time to allow us to learn.
Yes.
To start and then to learn. You don't need to cut us at the.
No, the problem
is
that you need to be very condensed in your analysis.
You can even give us after saying the amount of minutes we have.
Okay.
You don't need to cut us at every second, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you very much for your professionalism.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Fuller. Abu Masha, you are here with us. You are a historian. You are a PhD student. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon,
can you move a bit closer?
Samari, okay. Good afternoon to co-panelists present here. Good afternoon.
We have Mr. G. Raymond Fuller. We have Chidio Donnell, Nelson Lambris, and Franklin Wanchi. The familiar faces.
Exactly. Okay. And good afternoon to the founder of Royal FM, Mr. Emmanuel Bisai, for the wonderful job.
Are you coming from the same meeting with Mr. G. Raymond Fuller? Go ahead.
Doing the general manager,
very important
Carol
to acknowledge
who's doing a wonderful job out there.
It is something very wonderful.
Yeah, indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. We want to say good afternoon to him also. He's doing a great job.
Very great job.
Topics and Reality is his creation. And he's doing the general supervision today.
Yes.
I remember he says that. Ibe, go ahead. Thank you so very much, Marshal. We are going to talk about a lot of issues. I will not ask you what caught attention within the press. Yes. I will just say that you should keep calm because you have to give us a lot of explanation. Same thing like Mr. Fuller. We have a lot of issues to talk about. But let us welcome Promise Akante, who is going to set the ball rolling for us. What are we supposed to discuss in the program topics and realities today? And when we come back, we'll begin with our teaser question. But before that, we have Charity Kenzika, who says that good afternoon to you, Ebe, and greetings to all your panelists in the studio. Thank you very much. We have Jules Raymond Fuller, Chidio Donnell, Agbo Masha, Franklin Wanchi, and Nelson Lambris. Promise Akante, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Moderator, Staffman Abel. Bella Samari, sure your week has been great so far. We are halfway gone into the year and it is time for some stock taking. Saturday afternoon greetings to all our listeners and viewers. Hello to our regular panelists and a very cordial welcome to all our guests. It is always a thing of joy to know that you are all connected and ready to contribute your fair share to nation building. The news has been greatly animated this week by the Anglophone crisis, both on the mainstream, traditional and social media, especially with the release of Senator Regina Mundi, who was being held in captivity by so-called separatist fighters, or call them the boys. This crisis has been in the news since it started in 2016, never losing its steam, even though the focus of the struggle has greatly shifted. Well, the Norwegian Refugee Council says the Anglophone crisis is the third most neglected crisis in the world. The criteria used to arrive at this conclusion may not be known to all, but judging from what holds on the ground for those who are based in these regions, that is the Northwest and Southwest regions, and from those who pay regular visits, the narrative is not far from a very neglected crisis. What does this government lack, if not only the willpower to resolve the crisis? Why should this crisis keep pulling till date? Can this country not just sit down as one and resolve this long overdue problem that has destabilized the two English-speaking regions of the country and by extrapolation affecting the entire nation? Must we get to the point where we will go begging from other countries? Just like the African Union is out there in Russia begging for grains and fertilizers, the AU president Macky Sall, who doubles as Senegalese president, is in Russia to beg his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to release the grains and fertilizers and other stuff stocked up because of the attack on Ukraine, weeping how Africa is the hardest hit by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Like seriously, how does it even sound to their own ears that a continent with super rich topsoil, heavily unexploited forests, minerals at their most natural state, reliable and available manpower, well loaded underground and richly furnished water bodies, all of these, and this continent is still begging from those who barely have natural resources? What is their problem? Can Africa not produce all what she needs and even supply to others? Why must our leaders humiliate us this much? What is wrong with Africa? Ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners, viewers and panelists, Mr. Moderator, we have some really hot potatoes in our hands. What we do with them is up to us. This is the platform to bring change. Use it wisely. Hold nothing back. Say it as it is. This is Topics and Realities.
Thank you very much, Promise Akante. Let's kick the ball rolling. First of all, I want us to talk about the visit of Macky Sall, President of Senegal, who happens to be the President of the African Union. And Macky Sall is in Russia to beg for the release of grains and fertilizers back to the African continent. The question I want to ask is a simple and general question. Where has our agro-industries in Africa gone to? Has Africa been reduced to a Languedoc? Abomasha, let me begin with you.
It's very unfortunate that I would say yes.
Africa has been reduced to a Languedoc.
But now the truth is, it's just because Africa is a very blessed continent. Yes, it's a very blessed continent with resources. Because no matter how far the exploitation of our minerals and our resources have been, we are still able to stand. But the worry is we are not standing the way we ought to be.
Okay.
Yes, we are simply managing. Now, when you see the president of the African Union, Macky Sall, go to Russia, a lot of questions do cross our mind. Because rich and fertile our soils are. So what is happening? That's the issue at stake. But now, since 2 weeks today, we've been talking on imperialism.
Yeah.
And we are still continuing on that same direction. Why? Because look at the case of Niger. How come that today France is the highest producer of uranium, whereas it used to be Niger? But history tells us how it all happened when the first president of Niger, Hamani Diori, came to power. Yes, it's just because we don't have a lot of time to go to that. That's not the focus. But that is the same thing with all the African continents. And we are sorry to say that again. France, too, still features as a problem. When you see Macky Sall going there, I don't want to believe that he's like trying to resist the French, because Senegal has always been a French colony. And
no, he's going there in his capacity as the president of the African Union president. But so African countries are not so happy with his going to Russia. They say they did not mandate him to do those stuff, to visit Russia.
That they did not mandate. But the truth is, most of the African countries, part of the AU, are being guided by France.
Okay.
Especially Francophone Africa. So they say that indirectly, but that is not always the truth. Politics is very cunning, and politics does not always operate in a straight way. Yes, so maybe we'll come back to that.
The politics is very cunning. Cunning does not operate in a straight way. We are talking about politics in the African continent, and when we see the president of the African Union going to beg that grain should be released, fertilizer should be released, But when we were growing up, we know that our fathers, they fed us from agriculture. And sometimes we use natural manure to be able to fertilize our crop. But today we are depending so hard on foreign powers to be able to survive. Where is Africa in the face of international politics?
Well, it is very, very unfortunate. And the visit of President Macky Sall is also a demonstration of the failed leadership that Africa has had over the years. I will not blame France. Neither will I blame America or even Russia, and I will not even take Russia as a savior, no. Africa will have to liberate herself, and Africans must work for that themselves. Okay. And the national chairman of the SDF noted in his anniversary speech that we should roll up our sleeves and get to work. The young people of Africa take a greater part of the blame at this point in time. This is not to excuse the elderly, but going by the principle, no interest, no action, we the young people are those that have interest in a better Africa tomorrow. We have greater interest in a better Africa, and we have to take the responsibility. What you are seeing is a clear demonstration of failure, that at this point in time we go to beg for grain, knowing what Africa is in terms of human
because we
and
saw in those days they say
resources.
that they came to Africa to look for spices.
Good.
But today it's Africa that is going to Europe to go and look for spices.
So, like I said, it is a demonstration of failure, which is just an additional demonstration. So, what is important is that the young people have to assume a greater responsibility in the position, as far as the position of Africa today is concerned. If you don't like to see things going the way they go, if you don't like to have another Macky Sall to be moving around and begging because you know the potential of Africa, young people should roll up their sleeves, get to work, especially in the political domain. Go and get political power and make Africa great again. We need to restore the dignity of Africa. And we will not restore the dignity of Africa by talking just like we are talking like this.
Yeah.
After talking, we need to get to action. Sometimes I think that the more Africans become knowledgeable, strictly speaking, that is going to school and acquiring certificates, it seems like they become more of a problem to Africa than a solution. Because they will bring you the best theories, talk the best grammars,
give the best analysis.
When you want us to work, everybody gives an excuse that they cannot work. We don't want to engage politically because we are afraid of death. We are afraid of this. We have to protect this. We have to protect that. But day in, day out, we spend time crying. And like they say in how is it that wine can be so good to drink but not good to tap? Let the young people get to tap their wine and make Africa great again.
Thank you so very much. The message we got from your statement that African your youth should engage into action.
The young people should engage.
Yeah, like what
in
you
Cameroon,
say,
particularly
to make
in Cameroon, particularly young people, the masses, especially the poor masses, should register massively on the electoral register.
You are a young man, and we know you are from Africa, and we have seen the African continent be able to produce wine from watermelon, be able to produce sun-dried mangoes that you can eat at every time. We'll be able to produce food crops, even the flowers. We have eaten what we call kumba bread made from our local flowers. We have eaten potatoes bread in salt made from our potatoes. But today we are seeing Africa with all these potentials rushing to beg for grains, beg for fertilizers. And it seems as if the young people have decided to hand down everything. So we have give up, and they say it is time for young people to engage and make Africa great again.
Let me start by saying this before answering your question directly. Africa is the only continent which is very, very rich, but Africans die of hunger. What do I mean? There are young people out there who are ready to do all these things that we are saying. I, for one, have tried. But the moment you are trying to do something to push it a little bit, if you are not doing the real agriculture that you just go and till the soil and remain there. The moment you are trying to process one or two things, you notice how people now. Taxes fall from nowhere. our governments that are there, they don't help to promote the youth. And that is why in Cameroon, when you go to the airports, 98% of those who are moving out of this country are young people.
And that is why they say young people should come back,
step
into politics,
I have tried,
engage and change the system.
Deal with me. Engaging in the politics will not even help us now. We have tried so many businesses, they spoil. The same people that these other ones will leave I want to take it from the local base, from the point of the council. CBM will come in today, who will say that no, they are taking so much money, drive them out. SDF is coming in tomorrow, it's still the same thing. They are the same people. We should change the mentality. It's not a matter of changing the party that the mentality will change. We should change the mentality and know that we are trying to help our own selves. Because if I should be producing flour from sweet potatoes today, if I should have the small factory over there, and I know that from there now I can sell the
flour that can feed at least 2,000
people Cameroonians in a week. If I should just make that, and my brother here is buying the flour, Monsieur Fula is having a cassava farm, you see, everybody will now turn to enjoy
chain production.
Chain production, that is what we need. But now in Cameroon, if I should go and work the farm, nobody cares about that one. C'est son patate. My sweet potatoes is there, is mine. The moment I bring in a machine to grind it, the next day morning, tax is there.
The next moment there is no electricity.
The next moment, I was coming to that.
Okay.
There is no electricity. We have everything.
Even water to wash the cassava.
Cameroon, I still repeat, Cameroon is the second most watered country in Africa, but in Cameroon we still have cholera.
Mr. Giremon Fula, we are talking about Macky Sall visits. In a sentence, how do you analyze such visits to Russia?
Abel, I am overlapping.
Okay.
We are talking about the current visit of the African. The head of the African Union in the
begging that Russia should release us grains.
You heard about cholera, Cameroon, and so on and so forth. I am a teacher.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have, how can I say, remarks out of topic.
Okay.
What is the links? What is the link between the visit of the current African Union to Russia and Ukrainian?
You was like to say that we can recycle this situation in Africa, but we lack some basic commodities.
But first of all, we are out of topic.
Okay.
I am a teacher, and you even introduce some of themselves as a university student. I hope that they will correct their work before. Then, first of all, what are the reasons where he's here? The current president of the African Union is there.
Yeah.
5. First of all, for some of our brothers, the African, they are still there. They don't have the capacity to move out of the country. Mainly concern the Ukrainian country. They don't have the capacity. Then the second is a matter of resources. Talk about grease and fertilizer, and even now concern the wish of coming back the peace. I will end by it. How can I say, to avoid the paving of the way of annexions. I was hoping that some of my predecessors will talk about the danger of the annexions. We have dangerous neighbors. So some of our threats, and internal and even external threats, coming from our external neighbors, the neighboring countries. Russia is a worldwide superpower, and Ukraine is a weak country. Ukraine is a small country compared to Russians. So the president
allow the stronger power to override the smaller
that's
power.
one of the main reason of the visit of the incumbent
president of
you say that no.
Yeah.
It's not because you are strong. It's not because you can invade a small country. Nobody is talking about it. Talking about cholera and so on and so forth. Now, and the process, Abel, before the visit of the incumbent president of the African Union,
there were 2 external audit summit. I don't know whether even they are listening to YLFM. YLFM is giving more information concerning these 2 external audit summit. Who give the power, who mandated President Macky Sall to go there and talk on the name of the Africans.
Yeah.
To say, if you need our point of view, we need peace, we need security, we are expecting you to release our compatriots, our brothers and sisters. We need our fertilizer, the fertilizer of the Ukrainian, we need the greens there. Then I will learn by the lessons. I can say what we must learn from.
Yeah, from his visit. How is it going to help Africa to grow?
First of all, the African leader will learn how to deal more in terms of proactivity.
Okay.
Then
you're rounding up
to intelligence economy. You cannot allow your country to be very dependent to other countries.
Okay.
It's time now for every country to organize yourself in order to do that. Whatever can be the case, I don't want to talk about autonomy. How can it be autonomy in a worldwide situation in terms of globalization or mondialization? You cannot. But at least you can organize your country to have, how can I say, the latest, how can I say, what they need.
Okay.
What they need in order to develop themselves, what they need in order to be selfish. This is an internal problem within
the African continent.
The African continent. But as I tell you that, this is a very big dangerous concerning invasion.
Okay.
It's not big.
And that is why he went there to put some of this issue because our neighbors are very dangerous.
If you allow big countries, more powerful countries to invade their neighbors,
another colonization is coming.
2 days later or 3 days later, other country, powerful country, to invade their neighbor.
Thank you very much,
no
Mr.
reason.
Fuller.
There's a mini reason. The very important reason of the visit of the incumbent African Union there. I over congratulating him for the wonderful job he's doing.
Thank you very much. Nelson Lambris, we see Chad has already declared a state of emergency when it comes to hunger because of the war in Ukraine. And the President Macky Sall needs to go and plead the African case because if Russia continue, we are going to have more African countries that will be clamoring for food crisis, like the case in Chad.
I listened to Mr. Fuller and the rest of the panelists, and Mr. Fuller started by saying that people went off topic. I wonder if he went in topic. Again, Africa needs to rethink their strategy. Okay. I was not happy to see a whole continent embody themselves into an individual going to negotiate with a single country. I've never been glad that maybe the Russia-African summit. I've always preferred that Russia should have her own friend. Talking to Senegal, talking to Nigeria, we should not always bring Africa as a bond of nonsense.
As a single country.
And we take the whole of Africa and we talk like it's one country.
We should be holding Asia-African Summit, Europe-African Summit, not Russia-African
Yes,
Summit.
It is terrible. We keep disgracing ourselves. And people are saying that I think Africa don't actually need politics. Partisan politics now. They need the change of mentality. We saw how Macky Sall came to power in Senegal. The youth brought Macky Sall to power with the movement of Onanama, where Abdoulaye Wade wanted to remain in power.
He was even taken aback.
We saw so many of. But now when Macky Sall is going to Russia to beg Russia so that we can get fertilizer from Ukraine, it is terrible. We have not reached that level where we are going to beg for fertilizer. We have the whole of Africa is going to beg from fertilizer to Ukraine, not even Russia. Because the problem here is they are saying that Russia is invading Ukraine, and Ukraine was the source of
European,
fertilizer and all the other thing, the wheat and stuff.
Americans, European, Asian, they depend of the resources of the Ukrainian.
And now
that is the we are not obliged to depend.
It's not because somebody is doing the wrong thing. It's not because somebody is doing the wrong thing that you applaud to your own self to do that wrong thing. We have a whole lot of Africans, young Africans, who have energy to do, I don't know, the agricultural stuff. That is if the thing that, if most of I don't know, the governing team of Africa, if they think that what the type of education that they are given to their kids and Africans is not the best, they need to rechange it. They need to rechange it and give what they think that is important. But again, sending Macky Sall to go and talk on behalf of Africa to Russia, I think it's around nonsense.
Thank you. We are moving out of the teaser. It was just a teaser, and I will give the opportunity for somebody who have something to add on this. Chidedene, you have been into agriculture for a very long time.
I am very surprised.
Yes,
First of all, I want to very shortly,
to
remind to our viewers, the comparison is not a region, but the whole world depends of the world now.
In Russia.
In Russia,
and it's affecting Africa.
It's a lie.
American,
that's a very fat lie. It's a big lie.
Please,
American. The whole war.
Yeah. In terms of petrol, because even the European Union is looking for another means.
Africans.
Yeah.
So now they are looking for the plan B.
Okay.
The plan B.
Okay.
You can say that is the
Cameroon can survive on its own. It's only because Cameroon have bad leaders.
Out of
I'm not saying this word in my mouth.
Thank you.
Cameroon can survive on its own.
Americans.
Americans don't have anything. In Cameroon, we have more than them.
Thank you very much.
We have
out of topic.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fuller. Thank you very much. We take our main topic. We want to talk about. We are living from another crisis to another crisis. We want to talk about the Anglophone crisis. I begin with you, Mr. Fuller. You have the microphone because you spoke lights. You said that the war in Ukraine versus Russia is already an international crisis that is affecting the whole world. But we have another crisis here in Cameroon, which is back almost 6 years today, the Anglophone crisis. And the Norwegian Refugee Council just published a book saying that, or a document, or a report, that is the word, a report saying that that is the most neglected, that is the third neglected crisis in the world. And we know that the Northwest and the Southwest region are one of the breadbaskets in Africa. We have cocoa that is coming from the Southwest region, which the Southwest region being the first producer of cocoa in Cameroon. That is unarguable. We have carrots. We have vegetables that live from the Northwest region to other bananas to other part of the country. And since the beginning of this crisis, those aspects also have actually affected the feeding methods of most households in Yaoundé and all this. But the question I want to ask you straight away, what do you think of the report? Why will this crisis in the Northwest and Southwest region be neglected?
First of all, Ebe, thank you very much. I don't used to consider the report or the so-called report coming from some of the Western countries.
Okay.
So they lack, I can say, a kind of contradictions. They lack a kind of putting out the real reality on the field. They are biased report.
Okay.
Putting out only to condemn the institution of the country, only to condemn the government, only to condemn the army. So for me, when I read or receive a report coming from this lesson givers, I am always on my reserve.
Okay, but do you think that the crisis in any way have been neglected?
Then, talking about the crisis, I also want to remind to our so-called brothers that Cameroon don't have only one crisis.
Okay.
We have worse than. But I know why I'm talking about. Worse than
the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest region.
Worse than
which is that?
I am
crisis?
coming from the Northwest, the far north region.
Okay.
Worse than
the Northwest, the far north region is worse than the North and Southwest region.
I'm coming from the far north region. Worse than.
Okay.
You know how many men are dying there?
Okay.
Because of the intra-communal fight between Arab Shua, Moloko, and Massa, and so on. Worse than. Our so-called lesson giver, they are not talking anything about. This is no Cameroonian.
The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atangajiri, was recently in the East region. Recently, he talked about the situation there is not so calm, no secure. Our so-called level giver, they are not talking anything about.
No. For that, there you make a mistake. The man before Cameroon could be graded the third position, it was because they are considered northwest and southwest, far north, and the issue in the east. Even some few issues that have been highlighting down there in the south.
Yeah.
That was the reason why Cameroon came in the third position.
Okay, the crisis in Cameroon.
The crisis in Cameroon came in the third position worldwide.
Okay, they did not focus only on the
northwest, southwest.
They said the crisis in general.
Yes, because the man really said that Cameroon, even before the northwest southwest issue, the Boko Haram issue has been hitting Cameroon up there. The international community is
but
just
the report that I read, it says the Anglophone crisis in the northwest and southwest region is the third most neglected crisis in the world.
Thank you very much.
If I should classify very well, I'm not arguing with you, sir.
Yes.
I'm just trying to take into what I also read in the report that Jan H. Lam, the Secretary General for Refugee, the Norwegian guy,
the Norwegian Refugee Council, yes.
He said that
the regional,
to classify
the report of the regional government.
Wait, why?
For that, this is how the guy classified it.
Yes.
He said Democratic Republic of Congo is first, Burkina Faso is second, Cameroon is third. And that was how he went ahead to give a detail that reason that Cameroon is coming third is because Cameroon has crisis in 4 different sections of Cameroon: southwest, northwest, far north, and east. Yet the international community is silent on it. But what really interested me was another write-up that one guy made, where the guy said that these things that the refugee secretary general is saying like that because Cameroon, the government has blocked international actors from coming in, claiming that it is an internal affair.
Okay. No, please.
Is the crisis an internal?
Let me learn.
Oh, yes.
There is a worsening situation. I wanted to learn by the situation in Adamawa.
2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, 1 minute.
Yes. More than.
Yeah.
In Adamawa. Adamawa is one of the 10 regions of the country.
Yeah.
The situation there is even worse than the northwest.
Okay.
Adamawa.
What is the situation in the Adamawa region?
Kidnappers. You have road corners. You have killers.
Kidnappers is worse than the separatist movement.
Please, I'm talking about these people coming from.
Can we compare the Boko Haram crisis with that of the Anglophone region?
No, I'm there in Adamawa.
Can we compare kidnapping situation with the crisis in the northern and southwest region?
Allow me to learn. There are people coming from both Nigeria and even Central Africa region, country. So the situation in Adamawa is even worse than.
If they had to.
So please, I want to say that we cannot understand. If a human being, if a human life is the same, how can you emphasize in some region and then you minimize other region?
Mr. Fuller.
So please,
I want you to answer me this question. The far north region, who are those fighting? The Boko Haram. Where are they coming from?
No.
From Nigeria, not so?
You didn't get me.
Okay. The Adamawa region, you said that they are coming from Nigeria to come and steal and kidnap. Let us establish something.
Boko Haram is a less dangerous matter in the far north region.
Okay.
There you have intra-communal fights.
The intra-communal fight that is
you
there.
You have Ansaru. You have I don't know. In first we call it braconniers coming from Sudan and Chad who come to the parks. So you have parks there in French. It's a French expression.
Who got you?
Back there you come
Who got
to
you?
Waza.
Who got you?
And then to national park.
Children is the one having the microphone.
So you cannot compare. And even we have 5 days in the Lake Chad. Lake Chad is not. Lake Chad is reducing.
Thank you.
Lake Chad is very important in terms of fishing.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
So you cannot.
Your 2 minutes is over.
And now what is southwest is.
I want to ask a question. How many government officials have been kidnapped in the north? How many government officials have been kidnapped in the north?
Gentlemen,
I'm not the moderator. I'm
the one moderating.
I'm giving you just a question.
I'm the one giving the time. Please.
You are no more
please, Franklin, and Mr. Fuller.
Everywhere is in Cameroon. Please, in Cameroon.
Please, I see your microphone. Franklin, allow Chijo to talk. The report says that the crisis is worsening. Thank you, Mr. Fuller. Thank you so much. Thank you. The report says that the crisis is being neglected because the government treats it as an internal problem. Chijo, can we say the crisis is only an internal problem?
Well, we are living in a global world, and when there is a problem in Cameroon, Nigeria cannot cannot claim not to be affected.
Good.
So the crisis cannot be an exclusive Cameroonian issue. But we have to be more realistic in the way we look at this. And, you know, there are problems everywhere. There are problems everywhere.
Thank you.
And the national chairman of the SDF, the chairman Nijon Frundi, so many years back, he said he saw dark clouds over Cameroon.
Yeah.
And that way, if we are not careful, this nation will scatter.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that Dr. Fuller is demonstrating it. And the problem is we should ask the real questions. Why did we get where we are? People have been manipulating ethnic groups because they had to stay in power. It's unfortunate. They manipulated so-called Anglophone and Francophone identities to stay in power. It's unfortunate. And at this point in time, this human rights organization that is publishing this report, the problem, so many reports have been published in the past.
Yeah.
What has followed after the report? Almost nothing.
That is a question.
It's a call for Cameroonians to understand that we as a people have to meditate on the way forward. We have a primordial responsibility to solve our problem. When you talk about international community, what has the international community done in Ukraine, as you're seeing, and they're smashing them down like that? What has happened? We talk about Africa. Let us not go too far. We are within the African Union. And we are supposed to prioritize our agenda for African unity. Many people are surprised why the whole Russian African Summit is because they consider us as a country. But let us be a country. That is the fundamental of African unity, Pan-Africanism, because it is a better way that we can restore our lost dignity. But as we talk today, ever since the so-called Anglophone crisis started, people are saying secession. Some are saying federalism. This. Within the context,
nationalism,
decentralization, unitary, whatever. Within the context of the African Union stands for a united Africa in a federal or a confederal dispensation. Has African Union openly said, okay, looking at the situation in Cameroon, we want that Cameroon should go federal? Have they said, for example, that looking at the situation of Cameroon, we want to see that they discuss if it is to separate Cameroon before we now federate Africa? Is that the path they are taking? They are not clear. They are not clear on whatsoever. So as the international community, when you come even right to Africa, we have failed ourselves. Yeah. But it's just to say that we as a people, and the SDF believes very strongly that we can federate our differences, our different cultural whatsoever. They will make our strength, but we need to put them together and make sure that we talk our problems as one man and find a way forward. And that to the SDF is within a federal dispensation. And when you hear Dr. Fuller say what he's saying, it's because the unity of this country is shaking. Many people are more loyal to their tribes more than so-called Cameroon. Many people are more loyal to the so-called French and English that they speak more than so-called Cameroon. The human being has lost its value in this country, because when you start telling me that I should be this simply because I'm from the English region, but I know that the blood that is flowing in my vein flows in every other vein. So that is, to me, the fundamental problem. Cameroonians have to understand that we have to come together and solve our problem. And with respect to the Ukrainian-Russian crisis, the SDF had said that they should go through negotiations and find a solution. And that solution to us should be that which prioritizes human lives, because we are not happy to see that people are dying every day because of selfish interests.
Thank you. I want to find out from you, Franklin, in a few sentences or words. How has the government blocked the recognition of the crisis in Cameroon, especially the Anglophone crisis?
One, it was here that was in 2017 when the Commonwealth sent a delegation to come and go up there and check in Bermuda what is happening. When that woman landed here, I've forgotten her name, white woman. When she landed, she was welcomed in the Unity Palace. Everything passed in the Unity Palace. Just the news I just received from, I just heard news that she has gone back. What did she evaluate? When they come, the government will play their brain here. Maybe they went to Bermuda, stand at the governor's office, come back. That the crisis is not at the governor's office. If you come in to evaluate, let them give the person protection to go into the interior. Let the person go to Batibo, go to Ekondo Titi, go to Tatum, go to Miami, go to other places and see what is happening. But our government will say it is an international issue. Secondly, we have a national station which has to be giving reports on this every day, what is happening. Yet nothing comes in from there. If when you are giving a report and you are about to talk about the Northwest, you have to talk in favor of the government. If you talk in favor of the people, you are a bad person. And I still repeat this: Africans, especially French, Francophone Africans, they still suffer this issue of, if you don't support the master, you are a bad person. When you support your own person, you are a bad person. When you support the master, you are being held. That's why when you check in Africa, most countries that suffer are Francophone countries. They still have that particular assimilation notion of trying to succumb to what France is saying. And when you don't want to succumb, when you want to work for your own people, they will say, no, this is a bad guy, and they will remove you from power and put who wants to work. But for them, you should be careful.
Very briefly, I just want to tell you that the international community knows about the so-called Anglophone problem very well. They don't need information like you were saying that they need to go to know. They know this thing. But the problem is this, sir. The realist view of the world is that people go after their interests. Don't expect them to cry more than they bereaved. We Cameroonians have to solve this problem. An SDF delegation led by the national chairman met the representative of the Commonwealth. And before even she came, we have gone internationally, we have gone there, we have met them. They know the so-called Anglophone problem. These tribal issues, you don't know the work that international organizations and embassies do in this country. They carry out missions in all the regions on the daily basis. They have all that information, but the problem is their primordial interest here is not to solve your problem, but instead they want to take advantage of your problem and see how they can exploit it. And that is the realist view of the world now. We have to solve this problem. The position of the Social Democratic Front is that we as Cameroonians should come together and meditate the way forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Before I move to you, Agbo Masha, let me take this message from Abde Ismail is writing from Dubai. So good evening, Abel and the panelists. Mr. Fuller, good evening, sir. You guys are indeed faithful in the CPDM party. You have really done well for Cameroon, and that is why the country is where it is today. How has the Anglophone crisis been neglected? As you ask the question, Abel, very important question, Mr. Moderator. First, we have more than 1 million IDPs. We have over 500,000 refugees in Nigeria and other neighboring countries. We have several allegations of human rights violation, including extrajudicial killings, the complete eradication of villages, and other acts of human rights violation committed by both sides. Yet there has been little or no formal interest or intervention from the international community. The main reason behind this lukewarm attitude from the international community is the role of France, China, and Russia in the UN Security Council. Secondly, the fallacious notion that it is an internal problem, and the brandishing of the vague principle of national sovereignty. Mr. Funa, it is really pathetic to hear you say that the crisis in the far north region is worse than what is happening in southern Cameroon. This is what is pushing more youth to get radicalized. When people sit in Yaoundé and say things like this, I wonder if they really before talking, if the reason before talking, Mr. Fuller, try and visit Bamenda, or simple, just go to Bongé in the southwest region. Then you come back and Abel will invite you for topics and realities. Another one coming from Romain Lume says that really the crisis has been neglected. Thank you very much. We have another message, but before we then, let me go back to you, Agbo Marshall. Now, when we look at the crisis, first of all, let me take an example like the crisis in Angola. We saw a lot of intervention from the international community for it to be resolved. But the crisis in Cameroon is not. Why is the international community so not interested? Or what have they done so far in the little way? Because when you take from what T. Jordan is saying, that they are aware of the crisis. If they are aware, what have they done?
Bella, one thing we should never fail to understand is politics is all about interests.
Okay.
Yes,
so the crisis is being politicized.
That is true.
And now the aspect of interest is coming in.
History tells us that whenever you find a conflict anywhere in the part of the world, know that there is always an interest to be drawn within. I take the case of Nigeria. The civil war broke out in Nigeria 1967, and when Emeka Ojukwu stood up for a secession of the Biafran state, what happened? Jack Foka, who worked for Charles de Gaulle, said the Igbo land is very wealthy, and what we have to do is sponsor both factions in the course of the war, so that if the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the federal state of
Nigeria wins,
we'll continue
our relationship with them.
But if the Biafra succeeds,
we'll continue our relationship
with them.
So that is what is happening
here. Charles de Gaulle was very reluctant, but he said, no, this guy is saying something pertinent. And they knew that they would pass through Ahijo to provide those arms. And one of the means they used in providing those arms, you know the channel? The Red Cross. You see, that's why I say politics is very canny. Why? Because officially,
in Cameroon we have seen the Minister of Territorial Administration on the neck of
has the duty of administering first aid to war victims. Exactly, but now behind that they supply what? A lot of weapons. There are documents. It is very painful to talk about it, but that's just the truth. The second thing, when you hear of a conflict, I take the case of Syria.
Yeah.
Do you know what is happening there right now? Syria till today is still in conflict. Why? Because an individual in a Supreme Council, you know, the world is structured in an occultic manner, and there are things that we don't really go into details. He said, as long as Syria will not hand over their national bank, there will be no peace. But the media will not come and tell you that. Not CNN, no BBC. David Rockefeller said that if it had not been the collaboration of the media houses, the Washington Post, Times Magazine, and all the rest, we would not have reached where we are today. So we should not always wait the media to give us information we want to, because they will never tell us. Why? Because the world is structured in a way that we will never understand. That's why you talk of what the realities. We have the realities. Now we are only simply saying what ought to be, but the world has its mode of functioning. And in Cameroon, the Northwest, be it the Southwest, it is a game of interest. And you cannot stand on the reports by the Westerners. Why? Because the Westerners, they know in fact what they are doing. But now, if they classify it as a third neglected, another question we should ask ourselves, is the government still collaborating with them the way they want it? That is the truth. Question. If there is collaboration in that way, they won't say it. Look, the case when Mobutu came to power, with all the atrocities he caused in the Democratic Republic of
former Zaire.
Ronald Reagan called Mobutu a good boy. Where was the international community when he was killing? Why? Because a lot of wealth, petrol, diamond, and everything was given there. When you collaborate, you are a good boy. But when you are awakened, because anything in life has a change, no condition is permanent. Is it because we are moving to Russia and that the Westerners now will stand and say we are the third neglected? Before, why did such report not come out? So we should ask ourselves some of these questions. Yes, we should not only say that they are saying, because they don't have anything to tell us. Because where we are, they know very well, and they know what they are doing. And we can take a lot of instances. You talk of Angola. Angola is a very wealthy and rich, and that is why the civil war could go as far as 21 years, because of the petrol. They wanted Eduardo dos Santos to collaborate.
But we don't have those resources. We cannot sustain that. Do we have petrols?
No, we have petrols. We are very rich.
Where we see every day they kidnap people, release people. You both think that we are going to live and continue to kidnap people. Next in Lambris, you have been very observant. I want to find out from you, Nessie. Yes, we are talking about the role of this international community in solving this Anglophone crisis, and you have been following this crisis for a very long time. To you, what has been the role of this international community?
I concur.
Have they been up to expectations, or they are just there playing the game? Because we have seen the time and again ambassadors from the United States of America go to the Unity Palace to talk the situation. We have countries like Japan that have given give to IDPs in Cameroon. We have other countries even coming up sometimes to write in favor of the separatists, to write in favor of the government. What role have they been playing? Is it the role of self-interest or the role of seeking solution?
I concur in total with Abu Marshall. But again, we need to be careful.
Okay.
I still disagree that Africa is not a country, but Africa is a continent. And we keep belittling ourselves. We live in Africa, and the way Africans treat their fellow African brothers, very far off. We live in separation, and we bundle ourselves to stand in front of the colonial master as a country. It's a disgrace. If we want to be a country, we should come together and be like the United States of America.
Do we have that muscle?
You going to Senegal is very difficult than you going to maybe the United Arab Emirates. But now we cannot bundle ourselves and we stand like a langadog in front of an individual because the guy is white, because the guy is a Westerner.
So we need to forget about the international community. Seek
solution
to
the international community created the problem we have today. Yes. So why are we going there?
That is it.
You're talking about the Anglophone crisis, right?
Yeah.
The question the United Nations asks us, they need to re-ask that question so that it should be answered in the 21st century. Why are we going to somebody who brought us into this problem? The person cannot solve the problem because the person is even happy that we are in the problem, in the crisis situation. But again, Ebel, I would prefer that next time you call us to come and debate, that Royal FM gave a communique and the government of Cameroon reacted over. We can sit here and we say things about Cameroon for 1,000 years. No minister. But a white man who sits in his farm and do something with a telephone, the whole country will mobilize to come and defend. This is Royal FM. We're talking about Cameroonian issues. Because in Norwegian, I've never been to Norway. None of us here have ever been to Norway. Because in Norwegian has written something, we start panicking. They don't even know us. Do we write about their own country and they go scatter and be doing things?
But we are talking about it because they wrote about.
Why should we talk about it? We should forget about it. Why should we talk about the crisis in the northern and southwest region? If you go to your village in Yuma and you come back here and do a write-up, that what I saw was a problem. We saw the senator who is speaking on behalf of the people that there is war in the northwest. The military will be very difficult. I'm using her words.
And that is why we are saying that why is the war being neglected?
What I'm saying, who has declared that the war has been neglected?
Somebody wrote it.
Who?
The Norwegian refugees.
The Norwegian. Do you know how many times that we visit it, we see it, we lift it, we experience it? I went to the northwest I came on this same platform and I said things that I saw. Nobody cares. But because it's a Norwegian, the whole country is panicking because it's coming from a white man. It's a disgrace.
Do you have a problem with the white man?
I don't have a problem with the white man. Okay. I have a problem with the governing team because they pay more attention to something that is coming from the press out of Cameroon, and anything that comes within the press in Cameroon, they don't care. You guys can sing your hallelujah choir from now till tomorrow. Nobody cares. But because a white man will post something on Twitter, people will use our taxpayers' money
to go to
to respond to that person.
Yes, the fundamental question in the next. Everybody have 3 minutes. Mr. Fulasi, we should distribute time 3 minutes maximum. Everybody have 3 minutes. What can we do? We are not going to stop talking about it. We are not going to stop seeking for solution. What can we do to recognize the crisis is weighing? Farmers could not go to their farms in the northwest and southwest region freely, and the big cities are being affected. We have influx of IDPs. On a conclusive note, what can we do, Mr. Fuller?
I want to remind to my brothers from the northwest and southwest that problems are everywhere.
Okay.
First of all, both the government and the population had their role to play. The government has the will to solve the problem, and we will do everything in order to solve the problem of our borders. And sisters from the northwest and southwest, we belong to one country. But now we used to take the example of the other regions who has been attacked before.
Okay.
The far north, Adamawa, the east, and even the south. Our brothers and sisters from the northwest and so they need to collaborate. Those people, they are impostors. Please, Abel. They don't like their
When you talk of collaboration, can you be explicit? How should they collaborate?
Do give information.
Okay.
They don't like their countries. They don't like their region. Please, how can you understand and even explain the fact that you impeach your kids to go to school? Tomorrow, if there is, it will never be something like that. If there's some independence, how they manage? They say a competition between the region, concern the region. So those guys, they are enemy of the country, enemy of the regions. They came there, they came and promised the paradise.
Okay. Okay.
They are noticed by themselves. That's why we are overpraising the population from the southwest region, who now started to fight against these terrorist secessionists. They understand where are their how can I say where they are right.
But we see the SG and others dying in Indian division, Mr.
Please, I want to tell that it's time now to take their responsibility.
We'll
Please,
there.
those guys, you cannot send to the same. How can I say? You cannot say to the same hole twice.
Thank you, Mr.
Those guys are impostors. They don't like their country.
Thank you. Your 3
minutes
they don't like
their region.
Your 3 minutes is up. Thank you very much, Mr. Fuller. Franklin.
Thank you, Ebe, for giving me the microphone once more.
Yeah.
The best solution to this issue is that Mr. Bia knows the problem of Anglophones. We should forget about arresting who, locking who up, doing this, doing that. The real problem is still there. Even if all those boys abandon all those guns today and come back to the houses, the problem is not yet solved. Are we sure that Anglophones are not still marginalized? Why is it so difficult when we talk and say that Cameroon should go back to the federal state, form of state? Why does it look like a crime? Why does it look like a crime when we say that, no, when we joined in 1961, it was beautiful. That was the way we were living. That was so beautiful.
So in another
why
way,
is that when you say that
advocating for another
federation? Federation. Why is that? Why is it so difficult for us to go back to the federation?
Who is to ignite it?
I don't even want to.
We have decentralization that is on course.
Decentralization in Cameroon is just a picture.
Okay,
it's a picture.
Well, just to take off from where my brother ended.
Yes, I even have a message from one of your congregants who says that the way out is that the youth should use their responsibility. Coming from Wimui Betan.
Okay, thank you. Greetings to you, brother. Just to say that federalism in Cameroon only existed on paper.
Okay.
In that constitution, which never had a preamble, it only existed on paper. So when you say go back to federalism, it's like going back to something that existed. What existed between 1961 to 1972 was hyper centralization. That only is continuing now. So we have never been a federal state in practice.
Okay.
And the way forward, I still reiterate the message of the national chairman in the 32th anniversary message, because that's the way from now forward, is that we are ready, we of the SDF are ready to usher Cameroon into a full-fledged federal republic.
Okay.
Because this so-called Anglophone problem, we now call it so-called Anglophone problem because the people of the Northwest and Southwest region have rose up to cry. But it is a national issue. People are suffering everywhere.
Okay.
And for a holistic problem, a holistic solution
is needed.
And if we are where we are today, is because the solutions that the Social Democratic Front has put forward for over these years have not been followed. And when you find yourself in such a situation, go and look for the person that has been suggesting these solutions and give that person the power so that person can solve the problems.
Okay.
The people
So
have to register massively. They have to register massively on electoral registers and adhere to the federal project that the SDF is ready to put forward anytime from now.
Thank you very much. Nelson Lambry.
I think the problem is well known.
I hope you will not go for the federal system advocacy that I'm witnessing the panel.
The problem is I don't know the system that we use now, apart from, like Chidon said, the hyper centralization, which is even worse than the level of centralization. The level of centralization that we have now is worse than the centralization before. But I think there is a historian here. Yeah. I think the current president of our country, that's the chief executive officer, His Excellency Bartholomew Paul Biya Bivondo, and Dorothy Lingomanjoma with Aboma Choi, they should go back to the archives and look the real problem of this matter and try to solve it. They are still alive, thank God.
Thank you. Agbo Masha.
Yes, Abel Bella, let our leaders develop and continue in a spirit of patriotism.
Okay.
You know, and that's the same problem with the African Union.
Yeah.
You cannot say you are a patriot and you cannot pretend to be a patriot of which you are not. Then you come at the forefront of a mega continental organization to be a Pan-Africanist, because charity begins at home.
Okay.
Okay.
Coming from Abdel, who is really following this program from Dubai, says that collaboration is very easy to pronounce, Mr. Fuller. But I wonder if you have been there in the field to see what the military is doing over there. We also have this from Brutus from Santa Barbara. He says that thank you guys very much. I have learned a lot from the historian this afternoon. Special greetings to all the panelists. Mr. T. Jonathan, we have heard you. We are going to take our responsibility. Coming from that, and we equally have other messages. Joining me in the studio is Jean-Marie Annaba, who is coming up with Barometer Politique up next to me. Good afternoon to you, Jean-Marie.
Good afternoon.
Le pays est debout.
Bella Samari. Good afternoon to your guests. Good afternoon to our listeners. Le Cameroun est debout.
Ok. Mais avant de venir ici, j'ai vu beaucoup de militaires au niveau de Totangoussou.
Bon.
Vous faisiez même quoi là-bas? À un moment, j'étais peur que le pays...
Non, le Cameroun peut être debout. Les forces de maintien de l'ordre font leur travail. Vous savez qu'il y a aussi les séries de renseignements qui peuvent apprendre que les étudiants de soi veulent marcher et puis ils se placent là-bas. Ou qu'un opposant veut organiser un mouvement, il se place là-bas. Ou qu'il y a un bandit dangereux vers Tradex de l'autre côté et puis il se place
Comme il y en a. Il faut continuer.
C'est le cas aussi dont on ne va pas les contrôler.
So what are we going to be discussing Barometer Politique?
Bon, nous allons parler de la crise anglophone. C'est important parce que même à travers les médias, on peut faire aussi une autre guerre. Mais pas la guerre de communication que certaines personnalités font en ce moment, en parlant de la libération des otages. Est-ce qu'il y aurait une rançon déguisée? C'est juste une question qu'on se pose, mais on reste sur la position officielle parce qu'il se dit beaucoup de choses avec ce qu'on libère dans le nozo, tandis que les autres sont choisis pour rester en captivité. Donc c'est le gros débat du jour, même si on dirait un mot sur le positionnement de la classe politique, surtout de l'opposition par rapport à l'affaire Glencore.
Okay. Listeners, don't move a muzzle. Thank you very much, Mr. T. Jodene. If you have time, continue to pass and give us the wisdom. Thank you, Mr. Jules Fuller. Continue to support us. Thank you very much, One Chief and the rest. Topics and Realities was it's a production of